Where were you born?
In Glasgow, in London Road, Glasgow, in a tenement flat. My mum and dad lived there, and it was what they used to call a single end. It was just this one big room and the family lived in it, and we lived there until I was 8 years old, and it was great.
Some of the viewers won't know what a single end is. Could you just
A single end is just one great big room where you had your fireplace, you had your cooker in one corner, a bed settee we had for my mum and dad, and they had what they call was a bed recess, which was a sort of in-shot, and they had a bed which was folded down where we slept at night. And in the other corner was the coal bunker where you kept the coal for the fire, and we were on the top flat. Some of the other houses in the top flat were lucky, they had 2 rooms, but we all shared the communal toilet, which was on the landing. I think they took turns. Everybody took turns of cleaning the stairs and cleaning the toilet, and everybody did their best to try and keep it clean.
Was it a warm flat?
Yes, because everything was cosy because you were all in the one area, and it was a coal fire, so it wasn't a great big room. It was, it wasn't a very big room. I would say it was maybe what we would say now was maybe a 4x3 if you were buying a carpet nowadays. It was probably that size.
Wow.
So it was cosy. It was warm.
Did you have running water in the flat?
We had running water in the flat. Yes, but the only heating came from the coal fire.
How many of you were there?
Well, there was myself and my brother, and then I had a sister, and she was 6 months old when they actually moved to come to this area.
Why did you move?
Because it was for redevelopment. They were knocking down the buildings, and obviously there was lots of new housing schemes were being built at that time, and we moved from a single end, which was 1 room, to a house with 3 bedrooms, an indoor bathroom, which was so amazing. We were downstairs, so we had a garden as well, which we never had because we were in the top flat. And at first I was frightened in it because I had a bedroom to myself, which I never had before. So I used to have to go to sleep at night and imagine that I was back in that wee single end so as I could go to sleep, because I just didn't like being in this big room all by myself.
What about birthdays? What did you do?
Birthdays? We never really bothered with birthdays. It was it was never. It's still to this day, we don't bother much with birthdays at all. Every day's your birthday. You should treat every day like your birthday. That's how we live.
What about Christmas?
Christmas was a good time, yeah, because I got something. Always get something, and I was very lucky. I always got what I asked for. So there we are. No, because I was the first grandchild on both sides, and I was totally spoiled. I mean, totally ridiculously spoiled. I mean, my grandfather bought me a pony. He bought me a pony when I was like, I've actually got a picture of it. When I was just in my nappies, and I'm sitting on the back of it, and apparently it was the smallest pony in Scotland, and he bought me that, and I was spoiled. I was spoiled, yeah, definitely. So I had everything, and I was very lucky. But you don't look back. It's hard to say, but I thought that was normal. I thought everybody was like me. You don't compare when you're a child. You don't compare. That's what it was like. It's only as you get older you realise how privileged you were.
Were there many shops?
There were some shops, yeah. There was a down in Barholme Square at that time. There was a few shops. There was a paper shop, there was a grocer's, and there was what they called a hardware shop at that time that sell, sort of like your cleaning stuff and nails and sort of stuff like that, brushes and stuff like that. And eventually there was a kind of what we would call a mini supermarket type thing. It was Galbraith's at that time. Eventually that was there as well. And people just did their shopping locally. Nobody went to big supermarkets or anything at that time, and people tended to shop on a daily basis rather than going and doing big shops and stuff like that.
So did you go back into Glasgow and high street shopping?
No, most of the time what the shopping was just done, it was done locally. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned a school. Was there a primary school and
there was a primary school. There was 2 primary schools. At that time there was a Protestant school and a Catholic school, primary school, and then there was a secondary school as well. But people didn't. It wasn't, you know, although some went to one school, went to the other, it wasn't an issue at that particular time. You know, there was no issues with that. And as I said, we went to the activities in one school or the other school, whatever was going on anywhere. We just all went there because we were just wanting to do whatever activities they were doing. I mean.
So, what are your first memories of the Seven Lochs area?
Well, my grandfather used to have a little dog called Eiley. When I was young, old enough to go a walk with him, we used to walk up over the canal that used to be there and go up into Hugginfield Loch with Eiley, and it was a highlight of my life. And there was so much more to Hugginfield Loch then. You had a boating pond, there was a big restaurant area, and it was just fabulous. Plus, in the summertime it was packed. Yeah, and I used to go fishing for baggy minis in the wee burn. They disappeared for many years, and I was up there last week and there were some baggy minis back. So there you go.
So the water's clear,
Water's clear again, yeah.
Did you ever go on the paid boats?
Yes. I always remember went with my uncle, and he was young, he was only maybe 15 or something, 16. And the man kept shouting, "Come in, number," whatever it was, "your time's up." And he just kept rowing away. And they actually came out with a motorboat and got him and brought him back. The other thing he did, I used to take my friends as well and take them out to the wee island out there. He'd let them go on the island and just go away and leave them. The daft things, you know.
There were a lot of birds on the island then?
No, not as many. There wasn't as much wildlife there at that time. And there wasn't as much greenery either. It was different. It was different. Well, it was an adventure. If you just imagine a little kid being taken up there, the canal itself here, and the way up was something you threw stones in. Yeah, so that was good. And Hugginfield was just the fact that there was something to do. It's hard to remember exactly, but I look forward to going.
And who did you go with?
My grandfather mainly, yeah, because it was like 5 years. Then my next brother came along, so I had them myself for that time. So it was good. I liked that, yeah. I also did a bit of fishing as well. Sometimes my grandfather would take up a wee rod and I'd catch the odd perch or something. Yeah, it was good.
I was going to say, what did you catch?
Perch, small perch about that size, yeah.
Did you eat them?
No, you can't. You know, just let them go. Let them go. But there was a big one time got away. It might have been a pike. We only had light tackle and it pulled the it was but away it went. Yeah, still remember that. It's funny how you remember things.
Because we used to go out in the mornings. You go out if we went out to school that day. You go out that day and you'd go out the whole day. And maybe, as I said, you get a piece at somebody's door, and that would be you till your mother shouted you in at night for your tea. And it was when the street lights come on at night. That's when you knew it was time to go home. You know what I mean? And we used to go all the time. Hugginfield Loch was one of the things that we used to go to all the time. We went there, used to go there, and you'd have a bottle of water and jam sandwiches, and you could go and spend the whole day there. At that time they had all sorts of things there. They had a boat and everything that went round the loch, and there was all different things. And a part that was like the sand, you used to think you were at the beach. It was a wee bit of sand in it and everything. But we went there, you think they went the whole day. And then there was rhubarb fields there as well. We used to steal the rhubarb and take it home, and we'd have a bag of sugar, and you'd dip the yogurt, the rhubarb in the sugar and eat it like that. The kids were always in the fields stealing the rhubarb. But we did also, things like that. I wouldn't dream of doing that now. You get to jail probably doing it now. But we did that, and there's the big water towers were there as well. And we used to try and climb up them as well, but we used to always get chased for that.
Rhubarb grown in this area, isn't there?
Well, but up at the Cran Hill, up at Hugginfield, sorry. If you're standing at the gate and you look across the road, everything to the right hand side across the road was a rhubarb field, and it belonged to a man called Pinkerton, who had one of the houses at the other side of the road, one of the houses there, and he was quite a character. He used to race stock cars and all this kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my dad used to mention him quite a lot. Yeah. But that was the rhubarb fields, and a lot of people get money harvesting the rhubarb in the days it was done by hand, and sure a lot of people miss that.
Did you ever go in and nick a bit?
No. No, I didn't like rhubarb. You had to put sugar on it, you know. Along a bit in Ruchazie there was it was in Cran Hill actually. It was the Sugar Ollie Mountains, and this was waste from a chemical plant in Glasgow that was dumped off the canal to where the high flats are now in Cran Hill, and they were very steep, and we used to slide down them in breadboards in the days when bread was delivered in boards. They made the excellent sledges, and we used to slide down the Sugar Ollie Mountains. They'd literally be toxic. They possibly would be toxic actually when you think about it.
Do you know where exactly it came from?
Yeah, it came from a chemical. It begins with a G, but anyway, it was a well-known chemical works in Glasgow, quite near the canals. Yeah, so that was that.
Were there many cars at that point?
No, there were very few cars, but gradually people were starting to get cars. As I said, we were there a good few years. I don't know what age I would be when my dad got a car. I think maybe I was at secondary school by that time, by the time my dad got a car. There was four, and I remember there was two girls up the stair. For me, I thought they were really glamorous. The beehive hairdos and everything, and one of them had a scooter. And we thought this was fabulous. You know what I mean? We thought this was great because she went in a scooter to her work and everything. It was great, but as I say, there was very few cars. No problem, but obviously to park your car and stuff like that. And at that time, when they parked their cars, they had to have a wee light on the side of the car, what they called a parking light, because it was dark. Street lighting wasn't as good then, so they had to have a wee light sat outside the thing there, the passenger window or whatever, towards the road, showing that it was parked here at night, things like that.
What kind of games did you play?
Well, we played outside. Most of the games were outside. We played board games in the house. We played cars, and we had snakes and ladders and Ludo and stuff like that, which you go for your Christmas or your birthday. Outside we played rounders. We played kick the can. We played peaver, which was we drew things on the ground, and we had a tin of polish, like a shoe polish tin, and we used to use that as we used to kick it with our leg as we were hopping into the next square, and things like that. We played that. Chases, as we said, we used to chase one another and stuff like that. And sometimes even the mums and dads would come out and play around us and stuff like that with us as well. So everybody knew everybody, as I said. We were just one big community.
I remember going to the shops at the north east end of Cran Hill on Belrock Street with my granny, and they were all different shops. There was like a grocer's, there was a butcher's, there was a baker's, there was this, that, and the other, and there were queues, and everybody had message bags, and a lot of people had scarves on their head, like, honestly. And the strange thing was that, and this sticks with me, that even though they'd stayed next to each other and across the road from each other for many years, they called each other Mrs. It was Mrs. this and Mrs. that and Mrs. the other, and I used to think it was so funny. Yeah, there was a community there as well. Everybody knew everybody. It was quite nice actually to begin with.
Did kids play in the streets
Yeah,
back then?
yeah, very much so. Yeah, definitely. It was mayhem. There was so many young couples in there. Obviously a lot of people are grown or died now, but there were so many young couples with kids. Yeah, I had lots of friends. It was great.
What did they play in the streets?
Cowboys and Indians, and the girls would do the skipping, and they used to do the wee blocks, the squares, and jump, or that kind of thing. And the guys would usually be Cowboys and Indians. That was a big game at that when I was a kid. Cowboys. Somebody usually get hit in the head with a hatchet. They used to get a tin can, bash it, tie it to a bit of stick. That was you an Indian.
But everybody knew everybody, and everybody helped everybody. If there was a problem and somebody helped them. I mean, like when my dad got a car, that was a great thing. Because nobody got a car, and I think I can't even remember what it cost, but it would cost pennies, you know what I mean, at that time. And I remember when you used to go to work in the morning, and if somebody else was going to work in the same area, they would take them, you know, or if the kids were going anywhere and somebody would carry take-us, and you know, or you could go into anybody's house, and you always go, like if you were out playing or something, and you always get what they called a piece. It was a bread and jam or something, and you could get that at anybody's door, you know what I mean. So there was no, and everybody, you wouldn't dare be cheeky to anybody, because if if Mrs. Smith went and spoke to your mother and said you were bad, there was no, it wasn't like they do the day and say, well, my son didn't do that. It was, you did it and you get a skite. You know, I mean, there was no questions asked, and you didn't dare, because as soon as somebody said, I'm telling your mother, that was you were terrified. You were terrified to go home. But all our activities were outside. We entertained ourselves with nothing, because a lot of us didn't have toys. We only got toys at maybe birthdays or Christmas. We didn't get the way the kids go now, even just going to the pound shop and getting a wee toy or something. We never got that. And I think it was made things more special for us, because we appreciated it more, because it was always, I'm going to get that for my birthday, or I'm going to get that for my Christmas. And you know, I mean, things that kids wouldn't believe. I mean, there was times when, I remember we got skates and we had to share them. We got one each, and you'd put one foot on the pavement and one off the pavement with a skate on it, because you shared them, because they couldn't afford to buy the two skates. I mean, we did. Kids nowadays wouldn't believe that. And you got the wee plastic stocking fillers, and your mum and dad bought you one main present, and you get wee things for your aunts and things like that, and that made up your Christmas. But when you think of what the kids get nowadays, we get nothing really compared to that. But we were happy. And you got an orange in your stocking, and maybe if you were lucky you got half a crown, which was equivalent to 22.5 pence now. You know what I mean? You got that in your stocking, and I don't know, I think we were happier then. Although, and nobody knew they were poor, nobody knew they had nothing, because everybody was exactly the same. There was nobody, and you know, nobody's house had more in it than anybody else's. We all had the same sort of basic furnitures and stuff like that in our houses. We all wore we wore hand-me-downs. Mrs. Smith along the road would say, the daughter's clothes, you would get your clothes, or you get your cousin's clothes to wear. So, and that was just normal, and nobody thought about it. Sometimes I would think if you offer somebody second-hand clothes now, they would, you know, they wouldn't take it. But we thought it was great when we were getting somebody else's stuff. We thought it was, because it was new to us, and that's just the way it was. Because as I say, everybody had nothing. If you think back on it, we didn't really have a lot, but we were content with our lot then. I don't think people are content nowadays.
Well, being a teenager from here was definitely going to dancing. Yeah, we got to dancing. You know, there was a bus that used to come up Ego, and when I was staying up here, in the summer, like I would go to the dancing, and you'd get in the bus, and everybody all coming back at night. It was a riot. It was great fun. I loved that. Yeah.
Where did you go?
The Clouds. That was. It's now the big. I think it's a big Virgin place in Glasgow, but it was like in the top floor of the top of the Apollo Theatre, and it was fabulous.
Did you go to the Apollo?
Yeah, my friend used to work in there, and I got free tickets to see, or sneaked in to see everybody, except for Roxy Music, which I really wanted to see, but I was away somewhere that day. But seeing all the greats.
Tell me who you saw.
Elton John, Rod Stewart, I think it was, I can't remember. It was just, they were the two that stuck in my mind, but nearly everybody.
So we all get different pocket money. You know what I mean? I'd get 2 and 6, my sister's get 2 shillings. You know what I mean? But we still managed to go to the pictures and stuff like that. And as I said, when people didn't have the money, they used to smuggle them in the pictures and that. So that was one of the main things that everybody looked forward to. That on a Saturday, we went there. And really, that was the only thing that a lot of people did out with, actually being in the housing scheme. And as I say, only as you got older, you were allowed to go into town to the dancing. And again, you queued up there. You thought, you telling me, I didn't wear makeup. We didn't really have, you just got sort of better clothes and to go to the dancing and things like that. And they weren't late. It wasn't late at night. You were back. It was say maybe 10 o'clock it finished, and you were hound back up the road to get the bus back home. But we went to the dance and you got to know a lot of, you met the same people sort of every week in the queues and waiting to go into the dancing and that time with dancing with different people coming from different areas. And I remember I met a boy and he came from Rutherglen and at the dancing, and obviously you didn't see them all that often because you didn't have bus fare to go to their place and they didn't have bus fare to come to yours, and nobody had phones. One neighbour had a phone and everybody used her phone. She had a wee box that she sat when you moved your and you put your money in her wee box to help pay the bill. But nobody, so you didn't really keep in contact with them. You just have to meet up with them again the next time you were at the dancing and stuff like that. And I think that was the same for most people. I don't think that was where they met. And then obviously if they were going steady, as they said in those days, then obviously they made other, they met up and went to maybe one another's houses and stuff like that. But it was more like kind of disco type music and stuff like that as well at the dancing. The other thing was the Denison Pally, that we used to go there as well. That was good. And then eventually it became a roller blade place where people used to go and on the roller skates and things like that as well. We really liked that. How again that's where your 2 and 6 went and gone there.
Yeah, the Cran Hill especially. I mean, really went downhill. The drugs started. I mean, I don't think when I was young people took as many drugs or there were as available. But when the drugs started, you had gangs hanging about. You had gangs fighting gangs. You had Ruchazie fighting Cran Hill. You had Blackhill coming over to fight Cran Hill, and they were on this end of it where they all kind of met, and it was hell. It was, especially for old people. They were getting, in their 70s by this time, and then walking through Cran Hill at night was a no-no for them. They were terrified. So they got a nice council house in Cantine, and they were very happy there.
When would you say this change started to happen?
I'd say 70s, the start of the 70s, 69, 70s, something like that, yeah. And then it started to really go down. By the time the 80s came, it was what it was. It wasn't very nice.
Why do you think it happened?
It's a simple answer. It's just poverty. Just people not having enough money, and the lack of. I mean, Cran Hill's kind of far from anything really, and plus the gang thing stopped kids from exploring other areas. So you couldn't go to Easterhouse, you couldn't go to Shettleston, you couldn't go here. So it became, it was, looking back on it, you just would wonder how all this happened. It's all finished now. I mean, it's a nice place to live now, actually. I still live here and I wouldn't move. And I've got plenty of friends, and I walk through the streets here without a care in the world. People say, you come from Ruchazie or you come from Cran Hill. And I think you're remembering how things were. It's not how things are today. It's not how things are today.
So you don't really distinguish between Cran Hill and Ruchazie and the other areas?
No, I don't even think about that.
This area has been through some rough times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
When would you say that started to change? Or has it not?
Well, no, it has to a certain extent. At one time it was really bad that you couldn't walk from Ruchazie to Hamlets or and because you came from a different area. That doesn't happen. There's no gangs of kids going about fighting and meeting up. I mean, they used to at the end of the street there. They used to meet up the two schemes and they'd have a battle. Nearly every night. And as I said, the kids from one area couldn't walk through another area. That hasn't happened for years and years. And I think it's because the schools are not there anymore. There's no separate schools. They're all having to go to the one area and they're all on the one school. They're no splitting up to go to different places. So they're all mixing. They're all getting to know one another. And they go for various places to be with their friends as well. There hasn't been I wouldn't say there was a great surge in amenities for the kids about here. There isn't. There was the community centres, but then the community centres didn't have funding and they kind of shut down. They're just really now starting to come back again and offer different things, different clubs and things like that, because there's nothing. for the kids, and that they tended to sort of just wander the streets and obviously get bored and get into trouble, vandalise and stuff like that. That doesn't happen to the same extent. I would say maybe, I don't know, I would say maybe in the last 10 years it's sort of started to get better.
Well, the houses were thrown up after the war in the 50s, and they were just cheaply made, and quickly made, and they've gone. So you've got all these new houses getting built in Cran Hill and Ruchazie, and it's actually nice. It's got a nice place, but there's also a really nice sense of, when you work in the Pantry here, there's a nice sense of community. There's a lot of people know each other, and this place helps people get to know each other. It's quite, I walk down the street now and everybody's saying, hello, good morning, how are you, how's things? Well, unless they'd have come in here and met me, how would I ever have met them? You know what I mean? So I really love it. I love it. Yes, it's good.
Tell me what the Pantry actually does.
It gives people a chance to work. Yeah, they work. They can go on the till. They graduate to being on the till, but they can stack the shelves. They can sort the stock out, check the dates, fill the freezers. They can clean the place. They can, and they can help like disabled people, and they can guide them around and all this kind of stuff. Plus, Tina is good at helping people with problems, which I find just amazing, because there's a few. Everybody doesn't know everything, so sometimes I'll have a wee problem with something. I'll say, Tina, how would I go about this? This is that. That is this. That's the way to go. And she knows everything about everything, really. That's what I think. Plus the staff in here are just excellent. They're great. They're all here. They're not getting paid. They're here because they want to be. And it's good. It's good.
At first, when you first retire, it's like you're on holiday. Yeah, because you get your holidays and that, and you sort of do things. And I was doing quite a lot of things, and I thought, oh, God, how did I find the time to work? But eventually that all kind of, falls away. You're not doing as much. And I always give myself something to do every day, just, to keep myself busy. And as I say, when I came here to the Pantry, I'd heard about the Pantry, and I came, just to be nosy to see what it was about. And they were looking for volunteers, and I said, well, I'll come and volunteer. So I volunteer 2 days a week, and it's been great. And it's also good in a way for me, because I'm not as available to my family to do things that they think that you're retired now, you've got all the time in the world and you can do all these things. So it gives you that, wee bit of, that you're not exactly available for stuff. But I love it. I love it because I feel as if the Pantry is amazing. The things it offers. It doesn't just offer like cheaper shopping. It offers. There's all sorts of activities going here. There's education, there's information, there's community activities, and you get to know the people, they get to know you, and you're speaking to people every day, you're speaking to different people every day, and you're helping them. And I like to cook. I'm not a chef or anything like that. I like to cook, and I'm miserable, and I don't waste anything, and I can make dinner out of nothing. So they'll come in and I'll see this. And one of the problems with people come here is a lot of them, especially younger ones, don't know how to cook. They're so used to putting something in and it ping and it's ready or whatever. And I'll say to them, right, well, come on, do this and that. And I'll tell them how to make it, and they'll come back and they'll say, oh, I've made that and it was great. Like last week somebody wanted to make potato leek soup. So I was waiting and I'll come back the day to see how she got on with the potato leek soup. And sometimes when stuff's getting near its date, we sort of give it away so as it doesn't go to waste. Cream, and I told them how to make butter with the cream, and how we made butter. It was beautiful, and the buttermilk that was left when they made the cream, what you do with that and stuff like that. Things like I like doing that, and I like to see people trying something, and I like to see people getting helped, because although it's about sustainability, we don't sell food, we sell the memberships here. It's about sustainability, stopping stuff going to landfill, but at the same time it's helping people as well. And you like to see them coming back, and you get to know them, they get to know you, and when they're needing something, you can sort of get to know them. And although there is a minimal cost for their food, if somebody came here and didn't have the money for the food, they would still go home with food. because the volunteers would pay for it, or else there's a fund that you know, people pay forward. So, you know, nobody leaves here hungry. They'll get stuff. I mean, and that's what I like about it. And I like it's a community. We're all volunteers, and none of us knew one another when we came here, and yet we're all a community now. We all know one another. We've been to nights out and things like that together. It's become a wee community.
So, and it was just by chance with the walking group that I go on a Wednesday. Been doing the walking group for 2.5 years, and so with going into the pantry, when we come back from our walking group, we go in there for tea and coffee, and we have a chat with Tina, who runs the pantry, and so all this time, and at the beginning of this year, she was mentioning that they had put in for to see if they could get like the next 2 shops beside them that had been closed down for years. I think one was a hairdresser and one was a takeaway. I'm not too sure. And so they got permission to get the 2 shops. So Glasgow City Building are in it just now. They're going to open it as a community cafe. So because of the electricity that's going to be needing for the cafe, it's got to be a phase 3 rather than when it was the hairdresser, that was a phase 1. So this is what's the holdback is. And so talking with Tina, she was mentioning about the cafe, and that's where I'm going to be helping out at, you know, so hopefully we'll get the green light as soon as, you know, and everything will be homemade, made on the premises, you know, all your hearty meals, like your sausage casserole, homemade lasagna, your soups, you know, and I also make like a tiramisu, you know, so yeah, so that will be getting made, so it will, and there'll be a couple of the volunteers are bakers, so they're going to be baking cakes, and there will also be like a separate kitchen from the cafe, and that's going to be like a learning school for cooking. So there'll be somebody from John Whately College that will come in, and whoever wants to learn how to cook, then that'll be there. The facilities are there for to teach them, you know. So but I can't wait until the cafe is up and running, you know. So so working with the restaurants and having all the very busy times with concerts and all that, and now getting the opportunity to work in the cafe at the Pantry in Ruchazie, it's going to be amazing. It's just going to be a whole different mindset. So it is, you know, it'll be a bit more relaxed, which I'm happy to say, you know. And yeah, and it's all for the community and help and do as much as we can for them. You know, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
What are your hopes for the future of Ruchazie and Cran Hill?
Well, it's going in the right direction. It's definitely going in the right direction, and I think it's going to go in the right direction regardless of what I think or what I hope. I think it's going to be, because nowadays it's getting closer to the centre of Glasgow than it was. This was the outskirts, you know, this was the outskirts, you were thrown out to the outskirts, but this is getting closer to the centre of Glasgow, so therefore you're more, and the transport's better, you know, transport's better, everything's better. I mean, look at the fort up there, big shopping centre built in Easterhouse. You'd never have dreamt of that, would you? You'd never have dreamt of that. So that is better, yeah. And it's a lovely place to stay. I really mean that. I think it's a great place to stay. Yeah? Considering there's all types of people who are infirm, people who are unemployed, people who have difficulties, and there are people that's doing well. But I think really, yeah, having lived in a posh house in the States, it's great.
My favourite memory for growing up in here is the people, as the community. Because when we came here, we were welcomed when we came here. You know, it wasn't like, oh, there's the new people in, when they came from, you know, that kind of thing. And we were welcomed, and we're still doing that. And I think we're getting on the new Scottish families coming in, and they bring them to these areas. And a lot of people say, oh, the well-to-do areas don't get these people. But these people wouldn't, I don't think, would get the same welcome that they get here. I mean, they all get welcomed here. There's no, I'm not saying there's no prejudice, there is. There always will be prejudice, but these people are welcomed here. They become part of our community, they become our neighbours. And that's what I like about this, you know. Everybody's welcome here. We all speak to one another, we all get on. I know all my neighbours. And I only moved to that bit I'm in 7 years ago. But I know all my neighbours and they all know me, and you know, and while we don't live in one another's pockets, we know that we can tap that door if we need something, and that is what I like about this area, and that's my memory about this area. And I think we've got that to offer to anybody new that's coming to this community. I think that's a big thing that we can give to them, is to welcome.
It's a lovely place to end. Thank you very much, Anne.
You're welcome.